Okay, no problem. All right, so, oh, yeah, didn't do anything with my hair today, so that's great. All right, let's get started right away then. Quick intros. I'm Linus from Linus Tech Tips.
Hey, Linus. I'm Ted. I'm the CEO of PIA.
I'm Andrew. I'm one of the co-founders of PIA.
I'm Robert. I'm the founder of CyberGhost. I sold CyberGhost 3 years ago to Kape, so I can answer you all the questions that are Kape related. I'm with the company now for 3 years.
Okay, and then I missed the top left, with less hair.
Hi, this is Chris from PIA. I'm the CMO, and I was just kind of seeing you guys off. I'm going to be dropping out of the call now. I'm just kind of making sure you guys have everything good.
Got it. Okay, great. I'm just trying to find the shared document that I have with all of our community's questions. Unfortunately, it's gone and moved. Sorry, we were a little bit disorganized on this. It's always frustrating when you get in the morning and your system is just powered off for no reason and devices are not showing up. So we had it all set up last night. Anyway, I think we're good now. So I guess the first and most important question, and I need sort of succinct answers to these because we can only show so much. So I just want to prep you guys for that. What differences will the end user see?
From PIA standpoint, right now, the end user shouldn't see any difference, except perhaps what we're doing is we're scaling up our infrastructure. This allows us to double our countries and expand our server base. So if anything, what will happen is that from a consumer standpoint, our consumers should see higher levels of performance. But across the board, right now, what we're looking at is really infrastructure improvements.
Okay, and how can they ensure that data is protected?
This would be the same level of trust that we hope that our subs have seen over time. We always value privacy above anything else. It's our guiding light, our North Star, so to speak, when it comes to decisions and everything we're trying. I think that we've proven that time and time again. So, nothing is going to change from our standpoint other than we're seeking to improve our product, improve higher levels of privacy and increase, greater private internet access to our consumers.
Okay. I mean, someone's got to address Kape's history of unscrupulous treatment of data. What made you guys think that it was okay? Did you not do your due diligence on Kape? Were you surprised? What's going on here?
Yeah, so I can talk about that. So Kape started out as a trust rider and was basically a company that was running an ad platform. And this ad platform was used by bad actors to spread malware. And that point in history, the company got hit really hard. The shareholders, let's say, came together, and from there on, everything changed. So Crossrider changed his business model, changed his complete management, completely changed the strategy from not monetizing on people's data, but monetizing on people's privacy. And now we have the situation that the company is called Kape with a completely new name, completely new management. So you don't find anyone in the company today that worked back then in the company. But I think the legacy that we have, and that's a pretty good thing, is that we are now focusing on making money on providing privacy as a service.
Okay.
Just real quick, just to add on to it from a PIA standpoint.
Yeah.
We've known and been talking to the people over at Kape for some time now. So it's been a long discussion, and from our standpoint, it took real courage for Kape and the management there to look and say completely. So, that really encouraged us and helped us to really believe that they shared common ethos with us when it comes to consumer privacy. And they've been very supportive in terms of everything that we're doing. We're talking about, we open source our client. We're pushing hard to open source everything that we do over here to be completely transparent. And we've, so far the discussions have all been very, very, very positive. And we're really, we've been frankly thrilled about the idea that we can also provide a better level of service as well as more transparency.
Okay, so I mean, one of the obvious questions, and this one's from me, this one's not actually a community submitted one, is how do I trust someone who only makes a decision to stop monetizing users' data because it creates backlash? Like, to me, that's not a business decision. That's an ethical decision.
Mm-hmm. You're completely right. That's a very good question. So I was in the same situation 3 years ago. I founded CyberGhost as a privacy company. The only purpose of this company was to protect users' data. And then I stumbled upon the guys from Crossrider who came to me with a story that they said, look, guys, we want to change our business model. We want to focus from now on privacy as a service. We understood it. And in my mind was also, yeah, but why do you go into this business in the first place? So, and then I thought, yeah, but that's what just happened, So I think it's a very, very bold thing to say, look, guys, we are completely wrong because, look, I mean, the question that we have constantly is how is the internet monetized? Where do we make money from? So what are the sources of income? And basically this question is asked by big corporations with, yeah, it's users' data. We're gonna monetize somehow with users' data. And my approach with CyberGhost and also Andrew's approach with PIA was always the different one. That we said people are willing to pay for their privacy. So instead with their user data, they pay with $0.50 to ensure their privacy. And a company that makes this switch, this move, like intellectually in the company culture by completely hiring new people and going out and making acquisitions like CyberGhost, like ZenMate, and private internet access, and putting their money where their mouth is, that was for me a good thing. So instead of seeing it as a bad thing, for me that was like something very, very good. And I'm staying in this company for 3 years, and I can tell you it's deeply implemented in the DNA of this company to fight for people's privacy.
Okay. So what's PIA's, written black and white commitment to, continuing to not collect any information or activity data of any kind? Will PIA still only be operating in countries where they can maintain their confidentiality with respect to user records?
Absolutely. Private internet access is always going to hold the same ideals we've always held. And that was actually one of the really important aspects of the discussion between Kape and private internet access before we agreed to come together. And, we were really thrilled that Kape...
Oh, got a break up here. Last thing I heard was we were really thrilled.
Me too.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Last thing I heard was we were really thrilled.
Oh, yeah, we were really thrilled that Kape was also willing to adopt the same, principles that have guided us for many years. And that's actually was one of the contingencies of moving forward together.
So, you always have to sort of look for the things that don't add up, and this is again a Linus question. One of the things that was on the list of what PIA would be doing with the money from the acquisition was repaying debts. So I tend to look at any acquisition of a company that's saddled with a bunch of debt as though the acquiring party is after something other than the underlying business model here. Because if you guys weren't profitable, then well, there's got to be some other plan rather than just maintaining the status quo. And, you know, the year is 2020, and that plan typically these days is monetize the users. So how exactly does the math work on this? How does this make any sense?
Sure. Well, the math works like this. First, PIA is profitable and has been. You know, the foundations of what Andrew has built as a company has always been bootstrapped. But we do recognize that technology moves fast. The demands of our users increase. There needs to be significant improvement in our product, as well as the levels of service and the number of services that consumers need these days to protect themselves from everything happening. So from our standpoint, we knew that we needed to invest in R&D. We needed to create new products and new services. So, you know, that money came from debt. It became the most sort of cost-efficient way to be able to do it. And frankly speaking, I mean, you know, if you look at the math, it would be like going out and getting a mortgage on a house. No lender is going to lend you money unless they believe you can pay back the debt, right? So we're a profitable business. We always have been. That money has always been used to create new products and services, which we're rolling out later this year that we're very, very excited about. So I think, you know, I can't speak on behalf of Kape, but, you know, our numbers have historically been good, and the business has always been solid.
Okay. Yep. Just making sure. I mean, you know, I'm not questioning that an investor or a lender expects to get a return. It's just where the return comes from. And the usual answer to that these days is user data.
I mean, private internet access was not the first acquisition of Kape in the space. So the first acquisition was CyberGo, is the second ZenMate, and the third now is private internet access. And Kape is a public listed company where the numbers are public. And you see that the profits come from our core business. And I say it again, our core business is privacy as a service.
Sure.
And that only works if you have a no-log policy and if you don't sell the data.
So when you say no log process, can you clarify exactly what it is that you don't log? Do you log, just for our viewers, I want a summary. Do you log IP addresses? Do you log you know, any like metadata? I mean, obviously you have to take payment from people somehow. How does this work? What do you not log?
So we do not log in any of our services any IP translations. So we do not log basically what you do with the service. The only thing that is logged, because we need it technically, is the user account, because you need a user account to use a commercial VPN. But that only shows that you use a VPN and not what you do with the VPN. And that is also shown, we are very transparent with it. I remember that CyberGo was the first company in the history of VPNs that opened and published a transparency report regarding police requests. And we get several police requests here. Also, private internet access is releasing a transparency report. So you see in the way we deal with police requests and subpoenas that there is no data there, there is no data logged, there is no data stored. And maybe Andrew can tell a little bit more about how it's handled there.
Absolutely, yeah. We don't log anything as it relates to VPN traffic or anything. You know, obviously when somebody signs up, we know if somebody signs up, but you know, we're really committed to our no log policy. But it's great that you asked this question, because we're actually taking it a step further, and we're opening our systems up to you know, review from both auditors in the community as well as you know, professional auditors as well, so that they can verify what we're saying, not just take our word for it.
Okay. What plans, if any, do you have to change the EULA?
Change the, I'm sorry?
The EULA. End user license agreement. Sorry.
There aren't any plans to change the end user license agreement or terms of service or privacy policy or anything like that. We're really committed to what we do.
This is going to be a question that you guys, I've heard some rather evasive answers about it, but if you guys are going to have a chance of convincing our community you're serious about this, we're going to need a real answer. why did Mark Karpeles become your new CTO? So some background for the people watching this. He became the new CTO of PIA something like a year and a half ago. Previously, he was CEO of Mt. Gox, a now defunct Bitcoin exchange, which closed when Bitcoins worth $450 million were hacked and lost. He was brought to court and found guilty of tampering with financial records. So he hid the fact that the Bitcoins had been stolen. If he's willing to cover up millions of dollars in stolen Bitcoins, why should we as VPN customers believe that he wouldn't do the same with private data? And how could that possibly be considered okay for PIA?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and thank you for asking it. So basically, you know, back in the day in the kind of Bitcoin space, you know, everything was new, you know, and there was a lot of, I guess, how can you put it? Like, we were headed down a path that, you know, not many had gone before. Actually, nobody had gone before. So, you know, Mt. Gox was the world's leading Bitcoin exchange at the time, and Mark Karpeles, you know, was the one operating Mt. Gox, and you know, because of Mt. Gox, I'd argue that Bitcoin was able to grow and flourish much faster and much more widespread, you know, given that there was a simple way for people to, you know, purchase Bitcoins. The thing is, you know, when you're running something that's new and, you know, the adversaries that you have are coming from, you know, all sorts of places, I mean, it's a tough battle. And, you know, he was fighting on the front lines and he fell, you know. But the thing is, you know, I've known him for a very long time, and he's like, I know that he's actually a very good person and his heart is in the right place. And given everything that happened, unfortunately, he kind of gained like a reputation, so to speak. But for me, I knew that Mark was an excellent developer, an excellent person, and, you know, I don't want to penalize somebody. I don't think the world should want to penalize somebody just because, you know, things happened when they were doing something that nobody else had ever done before and was great for society. And so, you know, we like, I want to live in a world like that. I hope everyone else does, where we give second chances to those who have, you know, paved the way for us in the past as we pave our way forward today. And so that's why Mark Karpeles was brought in, not actually as the CTO of PIA, but as the CTO of London Trust. As it relates to PIA, he's you know, been around like from an advisory perspective, but he's never actually had access to any of the private internet accesses to date.
Okay, I mean, I think characterizing tampering with financial records as things happening is not really sort of acknowledging the gravity of that situation correctly. I can see your point where the relationship with him gives you confidence that it's going to be fine. But I mean, yeah, it raised a lot of eyebrows, as I'm sure you guys are well enough aware.
Sure, and just to layer on to Andrew's last point, that was at the end of it. We're getting into the weeds of our corporate structure a little bit, but
Sure.
He was the CTO of LTM and not PIA.
Yeah.
So from an LTM standpoint, we're a pretty diversified company. So, you know, he was working on a lot of things that were not PIA related. So, you know, and I think Andrew had brought up this point that he didn't really have access to the PIA systems, anything inside of it. You know, so he was not, when you ask, how do we make sure that, how can we trust him with our users' privacy? He was never involved in that. So it was a non-starter to begin with.
Sure. I mean, okay. You know, LTX for us, that's our expo. That's a separate company, you know, owned by a holdco. And, you know, I could get into detail about my corporate structure. At the end of the day, if the COO of Linus Media Group Incorporated, you know, maybe they have no visibility into LTX's numbers or users, but if they ultimately decided that they, you know, were going to, you know, work on that project, it's not like we're going to say no and you're fired for even asking. So just because someone doesn't have access to something is not particularly meaningful if they have an easy way to gain access to it. And it's less, I think it's less the issue of, that people are worried about Mark, the individual, looking up their username and, seeing what kind of porn they watch. I don't think that's the concern. I think the concern is someone with such an egregious lapse in judgment in a leadership position at a company that says they are privacy oriented and security oriented.
Sure, and that's understandable. I think that from our standpoint, then this is not Mark specific, but this is generally for everybody.
Yeah.
Andrew, the architecture of our system has made sure that that can't happen. There are very, very few people that have access to. Actually, other than Andrew, I don't know if anybody has access to everything. There's literally nobody else that does that. So I mean, there are many things I don't have access to, and I wouldn't need access to do my job. And I think across the board, that's been the case with how we build our systems and what we think about.
So from a Kape perspective, look, I mean, the acquisition was private internet access and not London Trust Media. So if anybody is worried about Mark working there, he's no longer.
Okay. I think there was just one more question that our community had. They just wanted to know what they can expect with respect to pricing. Are you guys going to be changing it? If you can't comment on that, I kind of understand. But what is the intent? You say PIA is already profitable, so.
Look. The question on the answer on questions like the same. At some point there will be a change. Everything is going to change. I mean, we did the acquisition not to raise prices, and f up the business with that. So
right.
The acquisition was done to improve the product, to make it better. Now we have like 3 VPNs in the portfolio, all working completely independent from each other. But all these people with these smart minds that we have in Bucharest and in US and in London and wherever put together, we built these to have the ability to just be better than anyone else. And then again, we are the only public listed company that has privacy in its focus. So, and I think, yes, things will change. Maybe the UI will change. The technology will change, but it's going to change for the better. Maybe prices go up, maybe prices go down, maybe we have more price tiers. Who knows? But for now, we are not planning to change anything regarding the quality of the service, the direction of the team. I mean, look, like 30% of the acquisition was maybe technology and customer database and everything, but 70% of this acquisition was talented people, smart minds that can create the biggest privacy as a service company in the world. I mean, that's the whole mission of this company, and that's what we want to do. And I think a lot of the questions from your community are going into direction, it's like, what happened if an independent company sells to a corporation? I think that's the elephant in the room here.
Absolutely.
And look, I mean, I'm part of Kape now since 3 years, and believe me, in 3 years, nobody forced me to wear a suit. This is not a typical corporation. And corporation isn't corporation. It's a very lean, small team of really smart people who know that there is a business behind protecting people's privacy. And by definition, I don't find that bad, because also that is something your community asked a lot. It's like, is it now all about profit? And I'm like, yeah, it is all about profit. And that's a good thing, because if we can pay decent salaries, if we can prove that you can make more money with privacy than with user data, we are behind something, and then we can really change something out there. And I was listening, for example, to Mark Zuckerberg's speech. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook is the company that monetizes on user data. If there is an evil empire out there, it's not Kape and it's not private internet access and it's not cyberwars, then it's for sure Facebook, And this guy went on stage and says, I want to create the biggest privacy company in the world. And I was happy he said it. I don't believe it, but I was happy he said it because it proves that there's obviously money in the fact to provide people with access to privacy and to security, to encrypt the data and whatever it is. And this is our business, and that's what we want to move forward. And I hope that after these decisions, we're just, stronger than ever.
Okay, is there anything else that you guys wanted to add that you think people should know?
One thing I wanted to share is that we recently open sourced all of our software, and we also announced a new program called Zero Access that, I kind of briefly touched on it before, but we're basically, opening up our systems to prove that we actually won't have access to the systems, but at the same time, they're running exactly what, we're saying that it's running, and it's all going to be provable.
Okay.
Yeah, the big push on our end is for complete transparency and visibility to our community.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead.
I have a small point on that one. A lot of questions are also in this direction. How can we guys trust you? And my answer is always, don't trust us. I mean, just don't. Just look at what we are doing. We are publicly listed. We are the most transparent company out there. Everybody knows our headquarters. Go on our websites. You're going to see pictures of people working for these companies. So we are launching a transparency report. Our policy at CyberGhost is since 3 years, and it's the same policy at Private Internet Access or at ZenMate. Any NGO that is in this field and has experts is invited, knock at our doors in Bucharest or at the headquarters at PIA or at ZenMate, and you can watch our servers, you can see our servers, you can look at our source code, you can see what's behind the scenes, you can talk with the people. We are super transparent. Don't trust us, just look at how we operate the business. And to add additional trust now, we start to closely and slowly open source stuff. And I think that is important. I think that is the difference between us as a group and our products and any other VPN out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know it took us a while to get this organized, but hey, we made it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah, no problem, you guys.